have the basic widget list that we can add, remove, save. Notice that we haven't talked about perhaps reordering. All right, maybe I'll leave that to you. But what I'd like to be able to do is depending on the type of widget, we like to display different controls, right, to be able to edit the widget. Okay, so let's take a look at how we could possibly do that. So let's look at here at the widget. Notice that the actual text here is kind of irrelevant to us, right? You know, we added it just so that we had something to display. But what really I'd like to be able to do is that perhaps this could be a heading, right, that says what type of widget it is, and that should change as you perhaps change some drop-down. So let's first add a drop-down to this. Okay, see how can we model that. All right, so let's go into the widget. And here's our widget, right? And right now it's just rendering an ID and text. Okay, so let's add to this a drop-down. So this might be a select drop-down. That might have multiple options, right? And the options might be that this is a heading widget. This is maybe a paragraph. This might be a list. It might be an image, or a, what else was it? Was there any other option? I forget. Let's just do these three, right? So if we go back, notice that the drop-downs are there. Okay, and notice that they're being ignored, obviously. And what we'd like to be able to do is that depending on that type, right, set the widget's type, right, to that type, and then depending on the type, display either a form for editing a heading, or form for editing a URL for an image, or some text for a paragraph, right, or the size of a heading if it's heading. Okay, all right. So let's see if we could do that. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to bind. We're going to bind the this select element. We're going to bind it with a local variable, right, so that we can get a hold of the low-level value of a select element. All right, and to do that, there's an attribute called ref, right, that gives you direct access to the DOM element, right, that is being represented here, right. So here we can give it a local. This ref gives you is bound to a local variable, which what we're going to do is that we're going to map it to a local variable, and so we'll call it maybe let the select statement, the select element. So here's select element. Why is it complaining? Oh, because notice that there's a parenthesis. See that? A parenthesis means that this is a return, right? And return, this would be syntactically incorrect, right? So we need to convert this back to just a plain old function. So I'm going to change this to a curly bracket and curly bracket down here. And still complaining. Well, maybe because I don't have this. All right, so this would be select element equal node. Are you happy now? Okay, then now I need to put this as a return here. Right, and this is close it here. Oops, no. Go away. There we go. Okay, so now we're over here. Okay, so now we have bound the node, right, so that I have it available here in the select. And the reason is that what I want to be able to do is put an on-change event handler on that select statement, on that select element, right? If it changes, I need to store that state somewhere. I can't store it here, right? The only place that I can store it is in the reducer, okay? So here we're going to put an on-change. So we're going to say on-change. And the on-change is going to give us an event handler, an event. And what we're going to do is that we're going to dispatch. We're going to dispatch an action saying that a widget type, so select widget type. Okay, the widget type. And I need to tell it also which widget, right? We don't know which one because there might be 20 widgets. I need to tell it the ID of the widget that changed, right? So I need to tell it the ID. So, and I have that. That's widget.id. I also need to pass it and tell it what is the new type, right? And that's why I had the select element. Now I can say select element dot value, and that will give me the value. That's a DOM property. It's a native DOM element property of the DOM element, right? So we can say widget type. Notice that I'm not using type because type is a reserved property of the action. So it'll be select element dot value. All right, that's a little bit too long to read. So let's break this up a little bit. So that's the object, and these are all the attributes in that object. And close it right here. Okay? All right, excellent. So we're sending this. Now we need the reducer to somehow listen for this incoming action. Let's see if we broke anything. Did we broke anything? No. Okay. Let's go to the reducer, right, and listen for that incoming event or action. So we say case, and it was called, what was it? Select widget type. And we're not going to do anything for now. We're just going to return the state. But what I'd like to be able to do is at least console log the action. Let's see what's coming in that action, right? So we can go if we go to the console and we select this paragraph, notice that in the console we are getting what we need. See that? We have the action, we have the widget type as paragraph, and we have the ID, number 8. Right? Or if we select this one, so let's clear that again. If we select this one, right, and it says list, again we get the widget type is list, the type is select widget. So we have enough information. We have enough information to go back and recreate the state, right, in such a way that now the widgets whose ID is whatever, right, we're going to set it to be something else. All right, so let's do that. Let's grab this action. We'll have to recreate a brand new array, whose ID, right? We're going to change it to something else, right? Let's see. Let's try and do it with a filter. Let's see. This would be we'll do a return. It would be an object whose widgets is a. We're going to iterate over the widgets. So that's going to be in the state dot widgets dot filter, and the filter is going to receive as argument each widget, and we're just going to say, let's see, what do we want to do here? We want to iterate over this. If we return true, that widget will make it into the array. Okay. But what we want to do is that as we if the widget.id, right, is equal to the action.id, right? If they match, right, I want to do something, right? I want to modify that widget. I want to change it to a different widget type. Okay. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to say widget. If the ID matches, right, then the widget type is going to be the action.widget type, right? It's whatever I passed in as an argument. And I'm just going to return true, meaning I do want it. I want the object to go in there, right? Okay? All All right, excellent. Actually, before we do that, maybe we could do it. We can do a let new state be a brand new state. So that I just want to see before we actually send it over. So this is widgets. Let's paste that in there. And then return the new state. I'm going to put a breakpoint right before it actually goes out. All right, so let's say we've got a source, and we can take a look at the reducer, right? And we can actually put a breakpoint right here, and see what happens, right? So let's reload this, and let's change this to a paragraph. All right, so let's look at the new state, and the new state. Notice that the first one has a widget paragraph. See that? We were able to set, right? We were able to set the new that widgets ID 8. We set it to paragraph. All the other ones don't have anything. Right? All the other ones don't have anything. See that? Actually, what we could do, I would say that whenever we create a brand new widget, we should actually set its default widget type, right? That'd be important. So let's delete all of them. Let's delete all of them and just save, right? So that now in the database there shouldn't be any widgets, all right? Let's go check and see. All right, if we go back and we refresh this, there are no widgets, right? So let's revisit our add widget, right? In our add widget, we should add an initial widget type. Right, so this is getting big, so let's break this up. So this is maybe widget type. By default, maybe, I don't know, they should all be paragraphs, say paragraph. By default, okay? So that if I refresh this, right, and I create new widgets, right, and I change this to, say, image. If I look at the state, notice that they're all paragraphs except that first one. Okay? Yes. Yeah, actually, the values of those dropdowns should be whatever the actual value is. We have not bound the actual value to the widget type, which we should. Right? We'll do in a minute. Right now, they're just defaulting to heading, because we're not setting it, okay? But let's bind it. Good point. Yeah, let's do that next. So the heading. So we are setting the state. Let's go back to the widget and see if we can actually render the value of the widget type. Okay. So let's if we go back here and we go back to the widget. Instead of displaying the ID and the text, those are kind of useless, right? We don't really care about those. Well, maybe let's leave the ID. But here we do care about maybe displaying the widget type, right? See if that changes, right? So let's refresh. So add widget. Notice that it shows paragraph. See that? It shows paragraph. And as we change this to be something else, where's the continue? It did not change. Why did it not change? Okay, so because it probably didn't change because it thinks the state hasn't changed. All right, let's do something. I think the reducer thinks that I have references to the elements in there. Let me try something drastic. I'm going to first stringify this. So that converts it into a string. And then I'm going to parse it back in. Let me see. OK, it is changing. All right. So basically, I'm making it fake, saying any references that you might have had, right? Because it's pointing. It's like a pointer in C or C#, right? Where you have a pointer. And if it hasn't changed, it's the same object, right? So if it's the same object, nothing really has changed. Okay, unless it's completely sure that this is a brand new state, okay, it won't actually notify and propagate that state, right? And because we have references back to the other ones, we're only changing a value of some object that already exists, right? It thinks it's a reference. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing this is a poor man's deep copy, right? It's a deep copy. It says I don't care if you have the same values. I want a brand new instance. So I'm first stringifying it and then parsing it back in as a brand new object. It has exactly the same values, but I am forcing it to change. All right, so now that we have that's being changed here, okay, what I'd like to be able to do is that, well, first of all, we need to save that to the database, right, so that when we load it back from the server, we have those values, and then we can update and the drop-downs correctly, right? So let's save this back to the server now. Okay, we don't have, in our data model, we don't have a widget type, right? So if we send it over, the server is going to say, I don't know where to put that. Right? I don't have any place to put that in the data model. We don't have that in the server, in the database. Right? So let's do that next.